Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. I am Violette Ayala. I'm the founder and CEO of FemCity, and you're joining us today for our Monday Motivational Series. And today we're changing it up a little bit. We're going to be talking about health and wellness and fitness. I have asked 3 of our FemCity Global experts to join me today in the conversation. If you are joining us live, we encourage questions, comments, love. If you just want to give us some love, we are open to receiving that as well. And if you're watching the replay, because I know so many of you watch the replay on the weekends, you binge on the FemCity content, don't ever feel like you have missed the conversation. You can always reach out to any of us, specifically our experts. We are here to serve you. We want to see you flourish and grow in all areas of your life, not just in your brand and business and career, but also in your personal space as well. So let's go ahead and dive in. I think we already have some love that came through. We do. Yeah, I love that. All right. Happy Monday to you as well. And all right, so to get started, we've got Carol and Dr. Laura and Kendra. Again, they are our fitness, wellness, nutrition experts in the FemCity program. They are contributors as well. Our teachers are mentors, and we're going to dive into it today. So the first question, let's go to Carol. And Carol, if you're not following her on Instagram, you need to follow her on Instagram. Her Instagram account is amazing. I see you, Carol, and I'm like, did I work out enough today? I'm not sure. I'm like, I think Carol's telling me I need to work out a little bit more today. Carol boasts about her fitness, her journey as well. She is in the over 60 category, and her fitness routine is just on point. As a personal trainer, former personal trainer, and a former Pilates instructor, I love your Instagram account. So my first question to you is, at a certain age, as we age, do we need to edit the way we look at health based on like where we were in our 20s and 30s and 40s? What's your advice?
Absolutely, because as we go through perimenopause, which is typically in the 40s, it's about a 10-year window, give or take a little bit, leading into menopause. That's when hormones begin to shift. So you get a shift in estrogen and progesterone, where one may be, if you can think of a seesaw, higher than another and back and forth. And you can also begin to experience what's called insulin resistance, and you are more vulnerable to the effects of stress, specifically cortisol, which is our fight or flight stress hormone. Then as we get into menopause, this steps up. We lose our shield of armor, I call it, which is estrogen, our protection for our bones, our brain health, and so much more. Progesterone is headed out. So that's kind of I like to think of it as the anti-anxiety hormone. And then we continue to have a problem with insulin and with cortisol, and then testosterone, which I call the sword, that goes down. And that's the hormone that helps us to it helps us to hold on to our mojo, our feel-good hormone that helps us to build and retain muscle. But the problem that I specifically see is that women don't address insulin and cortisol. And when these two hormones, and they're wonderful, wonderful, beautiful hormones, but when they're combined, they can be hormone bullies, meaning that insulin resistance. So when we eat, insulin comes in, its job is to shuttle that excess blood sugar into the cells to be used for energy later. Problems occur when we go through menopause. We don't metabolize glucose, blood sugar, as well. So it can stay elevated. You get an influx of insulin leading to resistance, insulin resistance. And high blood sugar can cause high cortisol levels, the stress hormone, and then high stress, high cortisol can cause an insulin problem. Because if you think about cortisol, the fight or flight, it kind of stops all the systems in our body because we have to attend to the stress in front of us. And the problem that I see now is we have a very stressful society. It's all around us in small ways, in big ways. Yeah. And so this is why I feel you just cannot use the same approach you used in your 20s and 30s.
Yeah, love that. Love that. And my diet has changed based on your advice and also Dr. Laura. I watch both of you on social media, on Instagram, when it comes to Hashimoto's and also eating. So Dr. Laura, what is your advice? I mean, we just talked about, yes, it's definitely, we need to look at things differently as we age into the various, brackets of time. What is your advice for women that are still kind of clinging to the advice that they may have had in their 20s? You know, do all women need to kind of edit the way they look at health as they age?
Yeah, I think Carol just did such an amazing job of explaining what's happening to us hormonally, right?
Yeah.
When we start to hit our 40s and beyond. What I would add to that would be I talk to a lot of women who are frustrated because the diets, the workouts, their lifestyle, the things they did for the last 2 decades, it seems like overnight they stop working. And
Yeah.
this leads to a lot of frustration with their body, a lot of just anger at themselves sometimes. And I would really challenge women to look at this transition as something really powerful. There's a reason that when we look back at other cultures, the elders were seen as the people to go to for advice, to pass the stories down. So instead of framing this as, oh my gosh, all my hormones are leaving me, I'm on the decline, it's that awful menopause, it's really just a transition into another stage of life. I mean, you have to think we're transitioning in 40s and early 50s into this. There's a whole lot of life left on the other
Yeah.
side of that. So I think starting to say, okay, I might have to do things differently because I'm a different person biochemically now. But what if I can still keep thriving instead of following this kind of socially constructed concept that for women is over at menopause? That is not the case at all. And I think just reframing that mindset piece is a
Yeah.
really important starting point for looking at health and looking much deeper than just the aesthetics around that during the transition.
I love that. And by the way, you also have an amazing Instagram account. What I love about your Instagram account is that you share, I tell you this all the time, Dr. Laura. You share the bits and pieces within, what is that time frame? 30 seconds or 60 seconds? Like you just have like, so just to kind of get that snippet of information, I think you share it really well. And by the way, the mindset thing. So for those of you that are on Instagram, that's like your main, place to hang out with social media, people like Train with Joan. That's a great account, with women that are, I think she was in her 70s when she started getting into shape. So for those that are like thinking, oh, I do need to work on my mindset, that's a really good account to just watch, because she started her journey in her 70s, and her fitness routine is just amazing. And it's in Tulum on top of that, right? This is amazing. The backdrop is amazing. Going to backdrops that are amazing. So Kendra has an amazing backdrop. She is in Costa Rica. Her pictures on Instagram are also amazing, and her energy is really just always so beautiful and giving and nurturing. So Kendra, what is your advice based on all your expertise that you bring to this world and to women? What's your advice as the way we look at health as we start to age?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I am in beautiful Costa Rica, which is why I don't have a very exciting Instagram account. I will be like fully honest that I'm more of a in-person kind of woman. So while we age, whatever age you're at, I'm thinking about women in their 30s, their 40s and 50s, 60s and beyond. The key is to really wanting to age gracefully. And as we're aging, whatever age we're at, we want to be getting more centered and really look for simplicity. So Carol and Laura were giving some really awesome advice, especially Carol with the like sciencey geeky side. And so I just wanted to kind of usefully generalize and say that aging is such a natural process, and that as we get more wise, as we start to really feel that inner wisdom that's innate within us as women, that we want to be more attuned to our energy and to our needs. And we're really, for me, I want to just tune into simplicity. So hopefully we're not getting kind of banged around by the next new fad diet and getting caught up in the excitement of social media. We want to really kind of close that down and get really focused on what it is that we need. That's really how I work with women, is helping them to see that all the answers that they have are within. They just need to kind of activate that inner sense, that inner motive of what it is that they actually do need in their life and in their health and in their fitness routine. So I'm all about just simple. So do we need to edit the way that we look at health as we age? Absolutely, totally, 100%. But it's more, in my perspective, an inner journey. The information and the knowledge and all of that helps to support your inner journey. But it really is about going deep and really tweaking and modifying your needs as you age.
Love it. All right, so let's get down to the advice. We did have some love that came through. Hold on a second. Let me go ahead and pull it in. From Lucy. I think Lucy is in our FemCity Philadelphia community. Lucy, let me know if I got that wrong, but I believe that's where you are connecting from. I agree, Dr. Laura. It seems like everything stops overnight. Working overnight, the insomnia problem is unbearable, and no amount of melatonin, CBD oil, not having coffee, not eating before going to bed just doesn't work. So, and I think, Lucy, what you're saying, I would say 99% of my girlfriends would say the same thing. So I don't know one, and I got the location right. Thank you, Lucy. I try to remember where all of our members live. So it's like a quiz for me to make sure that I got it right. Thank you, Lucy. I feel like that's just the ongoing conversation. I mean, my friends are over 50, and I feel like it's just a constant conversation of like how to make it better and better. So you do get these strides of like, oh, this worked. Now, how much more can I make things even better? So that journey is always evolving. All right, so let's kind of get down to tips and advice, because I love action, and I know you three ladies do as well. So what is your number one tip for those that are looking at eating right or finding an appropriate fun fitness routine? So perhaps they've been procrastinating. We're now coming up into the month of May. So for those of you that had it on your New Year's resolution, this is a great time to do a self-check to see how you're doing, what's working, what's not working. But what is your number one tip? And I know that all three of you work in different, in the same demographic, but in specialties. So I'm excited to hear your response. What's that number one tip that you give the women that you work with that are looking to either eat right or find a fitness routine that works for them? Let's go to Carol first.
Well, for me, when I work with the ladies, it's all about lifestyle choices. So lifestyle choices can make a huge difference with things like how we feel, sleep, energy, and how we look. So primarily I focus on nutrition. Protein is key. If I had to choose one thing in nutrition, it's protein. And then strength training over long endurance cardio sessions. And for my 50-plus-year-olds, I tend to give them 2 to 3 full body strength training sessions per week. So it's not like you have to be hours in the gym to be fit.
Love that tip. Love it. I wrote that down. And also, Lucy, Lucy, I'm going to bring your question up towards the end, but I did see that. So we'll get back to that when we do our final roundtable. For any other femme that has any questions, please feel free. Now would be a great time to post your questions so I can ask our guests your questions. All right, let's go to Dr. Laura. Dr. Laura, what is your number one tip for our femmes that are looking at getting started or moving more?
I got to agree with Carol on the protein. I don't particularly subscribe to any one dietary beliefs. I think you need to eat the diet that makes you feel really good and be able to connect to that. But one thing you do need to pay attention to, especially as we age, is protein intake. Actually, once we hit menopause as women, we need way more protein than we did when we were younger. And oftentimes I see women doing the opposite, cutting it down in attempts to lose weight or do something else. So good quality protein, regardless of your eating approach, along with daily movement. Any way that feels good, move your body, walk, play with your kids or grandkids. Any movement is better than no movement at the end of the day.
Love it. Love it. And we have Patty. Patty's joining us. So Patty is our former FemCity Boca del Rey president. I love Patty. She's still very involved with our chapter. Great tip, ladies. Thanks so much for adding that love, Patty. So love that. All right, Kendra, what is your number one tip? Oh, hold on. I think we lost you. Try again. There we go. I hear you now.
Okay, so super weird. Sorry about that. AirPod malfunction. Yeah, so my tip, I mean, Carol and Laura said some really incredible pieces. I'm all for the protein, the increase in the protein and really watching good quality. So I'm going to just add to that and say the basics that you do are so important, like sleeping well, moving well, doing some sort of breathing practice, keeping things circulating, and most importantly, the advice that I give to women all the time is to actually just narrow down all the resources that you're relying on. Try to like really lean on a few key people, women, companies, resources, so that you can, again, just kind of quiet the noise because there's so much out there. And then to really feel into whatever it is that you're doing. If you do choose to, try out the protein suggestion, I would highly recommend just checking in, like, how do you feel before doing it? How do you feel before this protein intake? have your meal, do whatever it is that you need to do, and check in again and how you feel after, so that you can really validate your experience and really kind of sink into your own inner kind of landscape on how that's all going. I'm a big fan of telling women to use qualifying language that gives like a descriptive quality, so that you really monitor your own healing process, and that gives a really good forward positive momentum on your health journey.
I love that. I have to say, and there's also more love that's just come through. I'm going to share that in a couple of seconds. I started tracking everything I eat on an app, and that has helped because, as an example, and I love that you shared, kind of mainstream, or not mainstreaming, but, kind of clarifying where you're getting your information from, because sometimes information is conflicting. As of like last night, I was researching Hashimoto's, which is what I have, and the information is conflicting completely. So one will say, don't eat kale, and the other one will say do eat kale, or one will say, don't. I mean, it was just like, it was so crazy that's exactly why when we don't have guidance from women like yourselves, we get lost in the mix, because then we're like, I don't know, one says this, one says that, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So but tracking my food diary, or what I'm eating, has really helped, because now I realized, even though I thought I was eating lower carbs, I wasn't. I looked back at all my data today, and I was like, oh, I can still adjust and even be better. So even using those apps to kind of guide, because you don't remember, you need some sort of analytics or some sort of data to kind of help you on your journey. All right, so let me share some love that came through. We have Lisa, who I believe, Lisa, you are in our FemCity Dallas community. So again, I hope I got that right. I appreciate all of your tips, ladies. I am 55 and recently increased my protein and can feel the difference. And again, I wonder why our doctors are not telling us that when we go into our checkups. Like, I love my doctor, but when I go for my checkups, I don't really hear that ever. It was, just eat more greens. That's kind of what I get, which I'm already eating greens all over the place. But anyway, and Lisa said yes. Great. Okay, 2 for 2. Violet got 2 for 2 with our members. All right, so final advice, and how can our femmes find you to learn more? Oh, wait, I forgot about Lucy's question. Okay, so Lucy had a question. Her question was, I'm 76 and I need my sleep. It has to be hormonal. But I think, Dr. Laura, you mentioned sleep, correct? That we need to get our 8 hours. Is that what was recommended? 8 hours of sleep?
I think I recommended it. I think Kendra touched on it as well. Yeah, sometimes as we age, we may even need closer to 9 hours of sleep. It's really very personalized.
Yeah.
But if you're not sleeping, can it be hormones? Sure. Can it also be stress, things that you're eating, gut issues, your adrenals? It can be so many things. So sometimes if you've been trying out, I'm trying to eat this, I'm trying to do this, my sleep is still not great. I personally feel that's a time where some functional lab testing can really help you out and figure out where that's coming from, because without good sleep, everything else we do for our health just is not quite as effective.
Yeah, love that. All right, so Carol, what is your final tip, and how can femmes find you to learn more about the work you're doing in this world?
My final tip is, I'm really back to the beginning of what I said, is we cannot do what we did in our 20s and 30s once we hit perimenopause and menopause. And I thought of a funny, it's going to sound very funny, example this morning. And I thought, leading up into inflation, everything seems like it's working. Like, you're not feeling the pain, the economy's humming along. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're feeling the pain, because it's kind of like kicking the bucket down the road. Here come the consequences. I feel a bit this way with the hormonal shifts. Not that it's a bad thing. It's natural. It's normal to go through this transition, but pretending it's not happening, or trying to go back to what we did that we thought worked, which I would argue probably never really worked. It's like that inflation. You're not feeling the pain because you've got the protection of your hormones. You're more resilient. So you're just not feeling that. Yeah. So that would be my piece of advice, to really adapt as you go through different stages of life as a woman. And then to connect with me and find me, I do have a 6-week challenge coming up in May 2nd. It's called the Slim Stomach Solution. And the website is carolcovino.com/slim-stomach-challenge. And you can always find me on Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, Dr. Laura, your final tip, and also how can femmes find you to learn more about the work you're doing in this world?
Yeah. So my final tip is actually, especially if you're someone who is a little frustrated with your health or your fitness, or you feel a little overwhelmed, I know so many of you listening are like overachievers, driven, very ambitious women. And it's so tempting to say, what else
Yeah.
do I need to do to feel better? I'm not doing enough. I challenge you to take a step back, really audit everything that's going on, and focus first on reconnecting your brain and body. And by that, I mean whatever food you're doing, whatever food you're eating, whatever exercise plan you're following, your stress management routine, how is that actually making you feel? Or are you just doing like checklists, just
Yeah.
checking things off? Oh, I did my mindfulness, I did my workout. But really being intentional and reconnecting mind and body is what's going to serve you the best, because no diet plan, no doctor, no one size fits all solution is going to reach each and every one of you the same way. And you need to be connected to how things make you feel first, regardless of what stage of life you're at. So I know that sounds a little more complicated, but really it's stepping back, looking around, and reconnecting with who you are as a human and as a woman,
Yeah.
before you search for your next plan, your next diet, what other foods you need to cut out or add in. If you want to learn a little bit more about how to do that, please connect with me on my Instagram. It's dr.laura DeCesaris. That's where I connect with people mostly in the DMs, and where I share all of my upcoming master classes and everything first. And this is a big topic that we talk about in relation to anything health and wellness. So I'll see you there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Kendra, what's your final tip, and how can Fems find you to learn more about the work you're doing in this world?
Yeah, sure. So I am going to add to all the wonderful pieces that Carol and Laura has said, especially Laura. I really resonate with the frustration that I hear a lot of women expressing about their health journey. There's a lot of input coming in, and we don't quite know how to manage it or how to really approach it in a way that's individualized for our needs and our goals. So my goal, my advice for women is to scale it back and simplify. Like really notice all the time that your mind kind of shifts, like, oh, I should try that. Oh, I want to look into that. It's kind of crazy how often our mind just, quickly takes those lateral movements. And to do the whole scaling back and simplify, it's really about creating more space in your schedule. When I work with women, that is like one of the main things that I do over a period of months, sometimes 4 or 5 months, to really let space come into our schedule to allow those things to open up. And that the answers that you're looking for about your health, a lot of women actually know what they are when they slow down, go inward, feel it out. What do they like? What don't they like? And that is the greatest gift that you can offer yourself, instead of feeling like you need to outsource all of your health, whether it's a dietitian and a fitness trainer and a psychotherapist. You can have all of those things. They're all incredibly useful and valuable, but they are even more potent and powerful when you feel embodied, and you feel centered, and you feel really in control of your responses to their questions. You're going to get a way better approach and a way better health process when that feels really clear in your mind. So I always say to my clients that you have all the answers. It's just that nobody's asked you a good question yet. So this is my advice, is to really slow down, scale it back, and simplify with just creating space in your life.
I love that. And I love also the idea that, not the idea, that the realization that we need to prioritize ourselves. Like if you're going through life and you're like, oh, I'll get to it next week. Oh, I'll get to it next month. And you keep on pushing yourself further and further because you're busy with your kids, or you're busy with your spouse or your partner, or you're busy with elderly parents. You know what I mean? Like whatever is that's going on, like at the end of the day, it's really important for you to prioritize yourself, because you will do better in business, you will do better in life, you will be happier, and your longevity is more sustainable. So, Kendra, how can they find you to learn more about the work you're doing in this world?
Yeah, so you can actually send me an email. I'm going to go old school on this. And you can just send me a good old email. My email is hello@theradiantlyalivewoman.com.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, ladies. And you had some love that came through from Lucy. Thank you, Violet, Carol, and Dr. Laura, and Kendra, for all your good advice. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, so Lucy added, slow down is especially good. That's why I'm at the beach for the next 3 days. That sounds amazing. Amazing. I live in Miami, and this is the longest I've gone without going to the beach. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks. And I literally walked out today and I was like, okay, I don't live on the beach anymore, so that makes it a little bit more challenging, but definitely it's always good to slow down and just recharge, renew, and recenter yourself. So thank you so much for everyone that joined us today. I hope that you will reach out to our experts here today. They're all three amazing. They're women that I actually look to as well for my own health journey. So I believe them. They're amazing, amazing women. And they want to help you. So reach out to them. And if you've not tried out FemCity, head over to femcity.com. We have a great free 30-day trial membership ready for you. And if you need to apply for our scholarship program, we have that available so that all women have access to FemCity. So wishing you a great week. Thanks so much for joining us. And we'll be back next week. Bye.